It looks like not all members of Evil Inc. were captured in the first game. International terrorist Joe Feng is believed to have been killed in a helicopter crash, but nobody was found. 2 years later, Michael Hardy, James Cools, and a new member of the squad, Janet Marshall, the only female member of the team, arrive at the scene of a daring daylight robbery of Virtua City's largest jewelers. This is where the game picks up, and this time, the game is much more polished. There are multiple paths towards the middle point of a stage. You can choose to go left or right, offering a little bit of replayability across the 3 different levels of the game. There are these branching pathways. So there is an incentive to play the game at least twice, assuming you go all one way, one playthrough, and then all the other way in the next playthrough. You can, at least get a couple of playthroughs on the game that aren't exactly the same. If you play all 3 levels of the game in order, you get a 4th level where you fight the true boss of the game. Just like in Virtua Cop 1, the Sega Saturn mouse does work. And this is the way I prefer to play because I found it to be more accurate. There are portions of the game where the action picks up and becomes very challenging. And then after these challenging sequences, the action tends to slow down a little bit for you to get a breather, which I enjoyed. But man, those are some frantic action sequences in there where there's just enemies popping out of every corner at you. But it is a light gun game. The light gun that I used did work very well with this. However, like I said, the mouse I found to be very accurate. It's easier to reload. The gun I have does have some cheat options. There's a rapid fire and an auto reload. I usually just use the auto reload so that you don't have to shoot off of the screen to reload, which is a little, cheaty. But, sometimes I will play with that turned off. Most of the time, however, I do play with that turned on. It is a cool feature. The mouse settings can be changed so you can make any one of the 3 buttons shoot or reload. So I suppose if you were left-handed, you could use the mouse left-handed. Since it's laid out the same, no matter which hand you use, the buttons are spaced out pretty evenly across the front of the Sega Saturn mouse. I prefer the left click to be shoot and the middle click to be reload. The environments are more destructible than the first game. You can shoot out the taillights of the cars, shoot out the windows of the cars in the car chase level. There were these TVs in the train station that you could shoot off of their mounts. All in all, the game's more improved than the first in just about every way. I would definitely recommend this game to anyone who is a light gun enthusiast. If you enjoyed the first Virtua Cop, you will enjoy Virtua Cop 2 much more. It is a more polished game. The levels feel longer. I haven't done any, actual comparison of how long it takes to go through the levels, but the levels do seem longer, and there are the branching paths where through each of the 3 stages there is a point where you can choose to go left or right. That's a definite improvement. All in all, this is a great game, recommended to any light gun shooting aficionado. I would recommend getting the Japanese version as it has the same English voice acting and will cost you less. Unless you just really like those North American long box cases, which I do. So I would honestly prefer to get that. But if, you're not afraid to import, if you have a region mod or a Japanese Saturn, that's definitely the more economical way to go about procuring this title. I would check it out, it's a solid game.